decision to even take on a new position and, leave sort of everything at Penn State and move on wasn't easy.
Being a hitter in high school and club to top Power 5 conference, one of the best conferences in the country, is a huge jump, and definitely when I got there, it was not good, especially after taking 6 months off of hitting. So they definitely gave me that grace when sometimes for me it didn't look like there was light at the end of the tunnel. When I first got there, I was like, I don't know if I can compete at this level and all this stuff. I took a couple months off, but they've just really instilled an environment that's super built for growth and has a lot of grace, and that's obviously one of Jackie's 3 core values is gratitude, grit, grace, and so that really is something that she instills in that program, and it's just helped me a lot in terms of my journey. My sister's 3 years older than me, and so just kind of going to her volleyball tournaments, there would be like open courts or whatever. So some of the times I'd grab a ball out of the ball cart and just kind of like run around. And then when I got to a certain age where I was old enough to sort of participate in a team, give it a try, continued to go to her games and stuff like that, and really just fell in love with it there.
We had just moved and this lady was kind of telling us about club volleyball. So we were playing kind of basketball at the time too, and then she was telling my mom how there was a local club, and then we started to go and do some small things there.
When you're in grammar school, the public schools do not have organized sports. But all the Catholic schools do and have their own leagues. So it was kind of nice, and part of the reason we had them in Catholic schools is they were able to start playing, basketball, volleyball, 3rd, 4th grade, and start getting that camaraderie you get with your teammates and everything too. So that's a big deal.
Katie Young really liked cheerleading. So that lasted maybe a year or two. And then when she was, a foot taller than everybody else, I think, it's time we probably transition you to something that fits.
This is my childhood bedroom, and so obviously have a lot of pictures and stuff. I would say that this is the middle school piece, and then up there is high school, and then currently working on the Clemson College, building that. This one is the one that we got from when we won state. It's a gold one. And then on the back it just says Class 3A champion, so that one obviously holds a very special place.
Katie, I could say, I remember like 3rd and 4th grade Catholic school league. She's out there overhand serving, line drive across the net. There was like 3 moms on the other side of the net, and the coach were like, you could do that? And they like stopped the game and talked to the ref. At that point I was like, okay, seems like a little bit ahead of the competition here, so we should be good going forward.
By watching her older sister and watching all these other girls that she was playing with, when she was with kids her own age, like Dennis said, she was doing these skills that kids 3 years older were doing. And I think that's like Dennis said the first time, I said, wow, think, she's got some athleticism.
We're at my high school right now, and so this is kind of like the entrance to the gym and stuff. So kind of like when we had games, all the spectators and stuff would come in through those back doors right here. And then this is sort of the main entrance to walk into the gym. Yeah, so this is where I played all my high school games. And then for a lot of the playoffs and stuff during the state run, we were ranked pretty high and we're fortunate enough to host a couple of the first rounds. I think it was the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. So got to play a lot of extra games in here too that a lot of schools don't get the opportunity to have, and especially since there were playoff games too, like a lot of the times these bleachers were like filled. It was just a really cool environment. The best memory on this court was the sectional championship here my senior year, and the student section kind of hung out in that side of the bleachers, and it was the second set of the game. Like hit 20 points of the last 5 points of the game or whatever, and my team was playing on this side, and I just remember playing right there and just hearing all my friends and stuff. All my best friends were like front row and all that stuff, and just when we won they all like rushed the court and stuff, so it was just awesome to be able to celebrate that moment. Got some stuff in the mail and stuff being like, hey, you're a finalist for the Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year. And then I think about 2 weeks after that or something, I knew I was a finalist for a bit of time, And then I got like a banner or something in the mail, like a flyer, and it was like, you are the Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year, like your banner will be coming in a couple of weeks. And then I got the trophy too, which is obviously the two main things, and then the cool water bottles and little packets like that. This is Kyle Masterson. He was my club and high school coach.
What they did here at this program, what they left, it means more and more as time has gone on, and she hasn't been gone too long, but the more that we get to tell stories about it, and the legend of Katie Kurta continues to grow, it's pretty cool just to see what type of person she's turned into. We always knew that she was great at volleyball, but it's more so about how special she is as a human. I mean, the obvious memory that stands out is winning the state championship, but I think it's more of just how great of a competitor she was. And at any point, we could just tell her to play any position, do anything, and we just knew that she was going to get it done.
It was obviously just an unforgettable moment and definitely the most prominent memory of my high school career. Obviously still remember that moment till this day. And it was just awesome too, on top of that, obviously making history, but also with kind of like what she said, just with like 15 to 20 girls of like who are your best friends, and just making history with that group of girls.
It was more so of, it was a back and forth match. We won the first set, then they made some adjustments and won set two. And we were getting beat pretty bad in the third set. We were down, I think it was 12-6, and my wife used her last time out and just kind of said, like, you guys just need to fight and just want it more than them. And we just kind of looked at Katie and just go, all right, like, we've waited long enough, let's turn it on here. And then she gave me the standard Katie Kurta nod of, don't worry, I got this, and went out and swung probably about 7-14, if I remember right, the rest of the match. We just kind of got out of her way and just watched how special it was and enjoyed it.
From a very young age, Camille started going to college camps and stuff and didn't want to go alone. So I was like, Katie, go with her or whatever. And I was in like 8th grade and stuff, and did like high school camp. So obviously in 8th grade, you aren't really thinking too much about college, but it definitely gave me an inside scoop on kind of like what I wanted in a school. So sort of through her, kind of figured out what I wanted. Penn State as a whole has a ton of history, a very good, very impressive history. And just sort of coming out of high school and stuff like that, making history there too. I really wanted to continue that and be a part of something like that. And also one of the coaches there I had a really good relationship with. And then just talking with some of the coaches there as well, I really liked them and really thought that my personality fit with them and who I was as a player.
The incredible thing about Katie was she could have, if she wanted to, she could have picked any position of volleyball and gone and played Division I at it. It didn't matter where we put her, and her and my wife were just creative geniuses and just came up with several different things that were just wildly successful. So it was up to us to kind of figure out what the other team's weakness were and then figure out how to put Katie in that spot, and then we were going to be just wildly successful.
All throughout club, I really just set on the back and then I hit. So it kind of just was primarily a setter, but in the front row, kind of always hit both in high school and club, and then knew that sort of in college that was pretty rare to come across as a setter and hitter. So I knew that, I had to sort of go down one path or the other. And so I ended up choosing a setter. So yeah, at Penn State, I committed as a setter. I was out for a little bit with a concussion, and that's why I got the medical red shirt that year. And so sort of with a concussion, obviously you aren't playing anything like that. And so that sort of freed up some more time for a bit of like reflection.
Kind of having to deal with this on our own, I think, was a real learning opportunity that, now looking back, you're a stronger, kind of better person, but, it's never easy dealing with an injury.
During the concussion, those realization, obviously didn't want to leave my coaches in the dark at Penn State, so had a conversation with them, and that sort of through a couple of discussions and stuff like that, trying to figure it out. They were like, that's not what we need at the moment right now, and just figured out that was, for me to be there as a hitter, just wasn't going to be a fit. They were super supportive of me, reached out to a couple of coaches, and obviously a lot of coaches that were talking to me reached out to them as well, so they kept me in the loop with that. And then obviously ended up at Clemson, which couldn't be more happier about. Being a hitter in high school and club to top Power 5 conference, one of the best conferences in the country, is a huge jump, and definitely when I got there, it was not good, especially after taking 6 months off of hitting. So they definitely gave me that grace when sometimes for me it didn't look like there was light at the end of the tunnel. one day in practice we were doing a certain drill, and it was basically just like transition, hit, just repetition of reps like that. And I just couldn't get off the floor. I was hitting in the net, just making constant mistakes that typically in the past, my career, super easy balls, like not your typical mistakes that would happen. And I was just kind of like, what's going on? And was kind of a stranger to that feeling and didn't really know how to react towards it. I feel like that was definitely where like the coaches and the teammates sort of recognized that and were like, hey, like it's gonna take time. I literally remember Jackie specifically telling me, hey, it's gonna take time to get it back. And she texted me too because she recognized it in my face and like my body language and stuff. It's gonna take time to get it back. Like, don't worry, like it'll come back. Yeah, so in the beginning of the season, I wasn't a regular starter or anything like that. You know, I got a couple taps on the shoulder, hey, you might go in, nothing set in stone. And then in a preseason game, there was one game I was thrown in and I did good, so I started when we went down to the Florida Invitational. And then on the last day of that sort of weekend tournament, we played Sacramento State. And so I had, I think, 19 kills, and that was just sort of like, I just remember that moment. That was my first collegiate moment where I was like, okay, like I feel this groove, I feel this feeling and this confidence that I hadn't felt since high school and club. And I was like, okay, this feeling feels great, and it's just great to know that, okay, I can still do this, I can still have this power. Like, here we go.
The volleyball took a lot of time and effort from everybody, and obviously as parents you get to be friendly with the other parents and develop some good friendships there. So I mean, you're going through years and years of this with them, and to have a few of them that we were on other teams with and go through that with them and then see them achieve what they did on the court, it was absolutely great. It was probably one of the funnest moments in volleyball yet that we've had.
Incredibly proud, I guess is kind of all I can say in a nutshell. It was just a great ride.